Moor Music saw us work with 4 different groups of young people throughout the day across 5 weeks at Moor Oaks School. A key aim of this project was to ensure that underused resources were brought back into life, and perhaps more importantly, the usual teaching staff were given the confidence to use those on a weekly basis with the young people with whom they work. Moor Oaks School is a special educational needs facility. There are a number of music technology resources which we know have been there since the opening of the school.
We found at the bottom of a cupboard some boxes with lots of cables in them and some bits of specialist accessible music technology equipment. And it can be very confusing for somebody approaching that for the first time and looking at lots of cables and lots of boxes and lots of separate bits of kit. And there is that immediate lack of confidence. And I think when you surround that by people who aren't music specialists, they have the fear of the music and the fear of the technology going hand in hand. And one or other element of that can prevent a really successful music session from happening.
Some of the children with whom we worked had quite profound and multiple disabilities. Others were perhaps on the autistic spectrum.
One of the first sessions that Andrew did with the students was using very simple acoustic instruments like shakers. And one of the things we could do from that was actually ascertain the physical abilities of the student. So even very simple things like, could they grasp a shaker to be able to hold it, or did a member of staff have to help them hold that item? Were they playing on their wheelchair tray? Did they only have very simple head movements and no hand coordination? So with something like a sound beam, you've got a movement sensor where you can adjust the length of the beam. And as you interrupt the beam at different points, it's like moving up and down a piano scale, so you can play different musical notes. Now, one of the nice things about that is that you can have a very, very long range. And so if you have somebody who's very able, they can run up and down within the beam to play notes. But equally, you can reduce that down to a very, very small range just by turning a knob on the control box. And then you can put that alongside somebody who's only got head movement, and a very, very small head movement can then play the same number of sounds.
One of the things that we did at Moor Oaks was to use the school's own iPads, and we found that they're a great way for children with perhaps limited movement to access a vast range of brilliant musical sounds.
One of the really successful things is a very simple piece of kit, which is a microphone and an effects unit. So we had students who would sort of do rapping over it as soon as they got the microphone. We had other students who were very, very considered on the first weeks and would make very, very small sounds, but we could get the microphone very close to them and we could amplify that and make a really big explosion of sound coming from that very, very small vocal noise. And all of a sudden that would encourage them to make more noises and they would be starting to laugh and giggle and enjoy it. I think the key thing really is that the children were starting to enjoy music making. There were some great kind of smiles and responses and encouragement of other people to have a go when instruments were passed around the group.
They were increasingly good at little social things, like being able to wait patiently and take turns, and perhaps importantly to listen to each other.
And I think that kind of music making and that kind of excitement about music is a real benefit to the children. And it has knock-on effects to the rest of their lives as well in terms of confidence and abilities.
At the end of the project, Mark and I ran a twilight training session for all the staff so that we could remind them of some of the things that we had done and also look in a little more detail at some of the technology.
The staff that we work with in each of the sessions and the support workers, we hope that we've left them with the skills to do some basic music making and have the confidence that everything that they do is valid as a professional musician going into the school and doing something with music and sound.